Up next, American federal workers are starting to realize that those job losses are never coming back. Let's deep dive.
The economic impacts of the federal government shutdown are starting to be felt. We're 13 days into it, and banks are reporting an increase in requests for short-term lending options. They're reporting an increase in requests to skip car payments, to skip mortgage payments. Traffic is up at buy now, pay later sites. Property management companies are reporting an increase in requests to skip rent payments, and utility companies the same. Meanwhile, foot traffic at small businesses, large businesses, hotels, restaurants are all down in areas that predominantly serve or have a high percentage of citizenry that are federal employees. See, when 2 million U.S. citizens go without pay, 70% of them still working and having everyday expenses, well, they have to tighten their belts like anybody else because they are just regular U.S. citizens that happen to be employed by the federal government that's using them as a political pawn. But they're tightening their belts. They're not going out in their communities and spending money. They're not going out and sending their kids to extracurricular activities they used to. Some of them are trying to figure out how to feed their kids if they miss another paycheck. Many of them received partial paychecks, but most of them are living paycheck to paycheck and can't even lose $200, $300 on a paycheck. So they're trying to figure out how to make ends meet. They're trying to figure out if lunch at school and breakfast at school is going to be their kids' only meals for the day because they might not be able to afford groceries. Now, we've talked about that before, and there's a lot of resources out there. So if you're a federal employee and you need a list, reach out to me. But the economic impacts are going to go far beyond 2 million Americans not being paid because businesses across the United States that rely on federal employees without even knowing it are going to start losing money. Small businesses in their communities that appreciate these federal employees are going to lose money. Mom and pop shops across the country are going to see a massive decrease in foot traffic and revenue just as we go into the Christmas season. And that doesn't even include all of the other things that federal employees do for their communities that most people don't even realize. The economic impacts are real. When you stop paying 2 million U.S. citizens, 2 million people, employees in this country, everybody from the top to the bottom suffers. But the people at the top who are driving this shutdown, they suffer a whole lot less than the mom with 3 kids at home who's trying to figure out how to feed them.
I think that the U.S. government is the biggest employer in the United States. Let me ask though. It may be just for black women, but I think it's the biggest employer in general. Chat's thinking, guys. Verdict, mostly true. What the fuck do you mean by that? Is it or is it not? The federal government employs just over 3 million civilian workers, more than any single company. For private employers, Walmart is number 1 at 1.6 million. So yes it is. The U.S. government is in fact the biggest employer in the United States. Now, the goal of this administration is to make smaller government. I think that people are too dependent on the government just being its employer and not aware of what it actually takes as far as competing in the private sector. This administration is changing all of that.
Everyone's talking about the shutdown, but nobody's talking about what comes after it. This time, it's not a temporary furlough. It's real layoffs, jobs eliminated, agencies consolidated, budgets cut for good. And if you think it's just DC insiders losing a paycheck, think again. Federal contractors, local economies, even small towns that rely on those agencies, they're all in the blast zone. For decades, presidents have promised to shrink government. They'd freeze hiring, trim budgets, shuffle titles, but the headcount, it always came back. Trump, he's doing it differently. He's not waiting for Congress to blink. He's cutting positions now, calling it discipline, not dysfunction. And here's what most people don't realize. Once those positions are gone, they're not coming back. That's how you actually shrink government. Not with slogans, but with pink slips. So yeah, it's starting in DC. But sooner or later, those ripples hit every district, every town, and every voter who says they want smaller government. And this is what it looks like when an idea stops being a talking point.
Let's look and see why they're shrinking the government, because I know that that's been a big talking point. I never understood why they were doing it. I know that capitalism, maybe not in its purest form, is good, but they're saying that the government is bloated and there's a lot of waste, so there needs to be a lot of shrinkage. This is how I look at each party, right? I look at the conservative side as the long-term strategists that can stomach the pain of budget cuts and investing in the future, and I look at the Democratic side or the liberal side as the let's just deal with everything right now and make sure everybody feels good, because that's what's important. Let's not think about the future. Let's just push this off until whenever, and who knows. But I can see both sides, so I try to keep open mind.
Hey, Fair Fam, so I'm curious, if the doors of the government open up today or tomorrow, what's next? If you leave the federal government altogether and go to corporate America, work for a nonprofit, and unfortunately something else similar to this happens, then what? Do you have a game plan in place that you can deploy at any point in time of job uncertainty? I was faced with a very similar situation years ago. I had a very young family. My son was barely 1 year old, and I had so many things at stake. I had a mortgage that was already higher than what I probably should have been paying anyway. I had so many bills coming in. I mean, you know, the typical life story. And the rug was pulled from under my feet then. It was so unexpected. I said to myself back then that I would never be in that situation again. So now that we're facing the government shutdown, the threat of the career threats, the furloughs, the RIFs, and all of those things, when we faced a recession in 2008, I already knew what to do. My point is, you gotta have a game plan in place. It's not enough to just go back to business as usual. There is no business as usual. This was a wake-up call for all of us to be prepared at any point in time to secure yourself. And so if you don't have a game plan, or if you do and you want to talk through it, then I invite you to join me on Saturday, October the 25th.
Now, see, most people, they don't learn from their mistakes, especially when it comes to financial literacy. They just complain about it like it's somebody else's fault that they're in the position that they're in. Financial literacy is a major thing when it comes to adulthood. She even said it herself. She had a mortgage that was way too high. That means she went out there and bought the house that she wanted, not the house that she can afford. Just because the bank is willing to lend you $400,000 don't mean that you need that $450,000 house. It would behoove you to budget effectively and go and get a $200,000 house. Even though it don't have all the things that you like, you know that you can weather any storm and budget your way out of anything, and then also have money to invest to be able to ease your future with earnings, and then eventually get that $400,000 house that you actually want. Most people just go house poor. They buy, they at their wits end.
Practice your patience, because it may be a blessing somewhere in the message. This is the time where you double down. Keep going. This means showing up when nobody else is there, working on your craft at any point in time in the wee hours of the morning, when nobody else is seeing you, when nobody is applauding you, when nobody may even believe in you. You put something out there and nobody responded, do it again. You told someone about something that you created and they didn't react, so what? Keep it moving. You have to go hard on yourself and your belief. And know that if God said that it is for you, that it will be. But you have to also put in the work. You have to also believe. So right now, it's very noisy outside. There's a lot of talk. Very popular topic. And at some point, this topic is going to die down and you're going to still be living in it. I'm going to still be living in it, because this is our lives. This is not the first government shutdown. This won't be the last. We don't know what's to come, but what we do know is that we're going to still be living our lives, whether you choose to leave the government or not. This all still applies and will have a lasting effect on the rest of your life. So what you do with this time right now will make the difference. If you leave the federal government and go to the private sector, you better have a plan. If you stay in the federal government and you wait it out, you gotta have a plan. If you decide to go to nonprofit work, be a consultant, start your own business, do something else, or just get a new job somewhere else, you better have a plan. On Saturday, October the 25th, we're gonna be talking about what's...
See, her outlook, I love it. I love her outlook, because I did a reaction to another video where one lady was fear-mongering. She looked like she could be of like African descent, like, you know, not really like African American, but like from overseas. And so she was just fear-mongering, like, you ain't gonna be able to do this and you ain't gonna be able to do that. What she's doing is she's trying to condition the mind, especially black people, that you have to plan. Failure to plan is planning to fail. You gotta plan. These life events are not unique to you.
So let's continue the conversation about being ripped from the federal government and laid off after 16 years.
Damn.
I want to start answering some of the questions that people have been asking me regarding what I'm doing now, how I feel, all the things. So this is part 1 of that series. So the first question is, when did I realize that I needed to start betting on myself? So I always been the type of woman to bet on myself, and that was really because I developed hyper independence at a very young age, probably due to childhood traumas and feeling like I had to be in survival mode. Not feeling like I had to be in survival mode, but because I had to be in survival mode for so many spaces and places in my life.
And feminism.
And so when I actually got to the feds, I started off as a front desk admin person, but then there were some other Black women in the office who had been in the acquisitions career and encouraged me to also get into acquisitions as a contract specialist. And then I grew into a contracting officer. And so just watching those women bloom in their careers was always...
What is a contract specialist? Let's look that up. Here's what the contract specialists do in the federal government, short and specific. Core mission: buy what the agency needs, legally, competitively, and at the best value. Can this job be replaced? You can automate it and slim parts of it, but you can't eliminate it. Okay, now let me let her keep cooking.
And encouragement and motivation that I could also do it. And I ended up doing it in a very short period of time. So even before I was 30, I was high up on the GS scale. But just even walking that whole career path and seeing that I was able to do that, it also just pushed me even further to always bet on myself, because once I set my mind to do something, I know I'm going to get it done. Point blank, period. It's just about discipline, consistency, and just making my mark. And so, yeah. In fact, I had started my business, Chloe Maud House, which is, I'm a handbag designer as well. I started that business while I was with the feds, because I always knew I did not want to retire from the feds. That was just a stepping stone and a piece of the puzzle for my purpose and a destiny and all the things. But it allowed an opportunity for me to live out my dreams and make some of the investments that I've made over time. So betting on myself has pretty much always been in my blood. It's just who I am as a person, as a woman.
Smart.
And I'm proud of that. And that's going to take me to my next stage in life. So to anybody who has been ripped, anybody who has been laid off, you lost your job, whatever have you, be it feds or not, just as a word of encouragement, I do want to tell you that this is not the end of the road. It may seem like something has come to a close, because at the end of the day, it has. I'm literally starting a new book. It's not even a chapter. It's a whole new book. We're not turning any pages. We're closing a book and starting a new one. And that's okay. It's okay to bet on yourself. In fact, you really should, because we can't rely on anybody for real, but God. And that's where I choose to keep my faith and my hope in. So I hope this helps somebody, and that's that. I'll see you in part 2.
This is a great and refreshing break from women getting on the internet crying about them not knowing what they're going to do next. And I say that because you have to rely on yourself. You have to have a plan. You're an adult. You have to have a plan for the future. And if you don't, there's nobody to blame but yourself.
Bro, $15 billion a week, and you still think it don't affect you? I've been hearing people saying this government shutdown don't have nothing to do with them, but bruh, it's costing $15 billion a week. It's not just some DC problem. That's your school's rent money, city's rent money, and small business loans evaporating. Every week that passes, the economy bleeds out even more. State budgets dry up, funding pauses, and federal workers stop spending money, which hits every store, every gas station, every local spot. That trickles down faster than folks realize. You might not work for the government, but money moves through it. Less flow, less growth. So that's 15 billion with a B. That's not just their loss, that's ours too. So yeah, it's not just shutdown season. It's slow down everything that feed the people season.
So what he's saying is not off all the way, but that's just the estimation. It's not really set on 15 billion. So he's got some points.
So the government is shutting down. Now, what does this mean for us traders who are day trading the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and all these U.S. indices? How is this going to affect the markets? So it really comes down to how long this government shutdown is going to last. Mind you, we haven't had a government shutdown since the last time Trump was in office in 2018, and that lasted for around 30 days, which was the longest in U.S. history. But with these government shutdowns, a lot of the federal agencies literally just stop working. They stop operating, so they're not going to be reporting that economic data that we're used to. So things like CPI, PPI, unemployment claims, these big news events, these big red folder news events, we're not going to see that get released on time, and they're most likely going to get delayed. Meaning what? Well, less economic data and news events on our calendar is going to lead to what? Choppier price action, because the market is going to be waiting for those news events to happen so the market can actually move. It's just going to be choppier price action. So us as traders, we need to be de-risked during these times of the government shutdown until the government has reopened.
So basically what he's trying to say is that you have to really pay very close attention to the market. That means that you're not going to be holding things overnight. You're going to be selling off that day because you don't know if it's going to go up or down, left or right. You're going to have to each day take it day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, and you're not holding nothing over to the next day. That's basically what he means by de-risk.
Unfortunately, I just got word that more of my colleagues at the Department of Education, my former colleagues, because I was previously riffed, are being riffed, and they will be eventually losing their jobs. There are people from other agencies who also have received reduction in force notices. The point was always cruelty, but we are Americans, we are strong, and we're going to all get through this. We're going to get through this together.
Cruelty is one way to look at it, but I would have to say that if you look at the education of our children today, the Department of Education has done a piss poor job, and that the only thing that I think can fix this, if we're just talking about education, is to give the authority back to the states so that we don't have to use the federal government as red tape, because there's a lot of waste that is happening. But I do feel bad for her, losing her job. That's not ever fun.
I feel like nobody is being truthfully real how this government shutdown is affecting people. Mind you, like a lot of my friends, they work in government. They have high ranks of government with security clearances making $100,000, $200,000 a year. I'm seeing them do DoorDash right now.
Me too.
I'm seeing them go have to pick up serving jobs. Nothing against those type of job fields whatsoever. I just feel like this government shutdown has truly been a lot more taxing on people and a lot more impactful than people think, and it's just not getting the light that it should be. A lot of people don't know this, but we're actually on pace to be the second longest, or if not the longest, government shutdown
in American history.
The longest was actually a couple years ago in 2018 when we actually had the same current president that we do now. Yeah. And I was able to actually find this out through an app that one of my colleagues, who was literally out of work, like I was telling you earlier, he had told me about this app where it literally serves as like a prediction market for trades. Pretty much you can trade and have position on virtually anything. I'm talking about from politics, sports, what's going on in pop culture, virtually anything. It's crazy. And with that being said, it's actually a pretty lucrative side source of income as well. So one of my friends who's been out of work for the past 2 weeks, he's actually been using this platform for, I want to say, going on.
Listen, I'm not about to promote any get-rich-quick schemes, because just like sports betting and all this other stuff, is the same thing. It's like a giant casino. It's even like when you're in the stock market and buying calls and put options. Options is like buying 100 shares of one stock at a discounted price, but your loss will be 100 times. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like you have to think about it like that. It's like a casino. People get addicted to that type of stuff. I'm not gonna promote that, but what I will say is that people who are dependent on the federal government as their source of income really don't understand how America works.
Buenas tardes, happy Black 365. Listen, excuse me, help the skeptics. Listen. So the fat bastard in charge a while ago, bitch, he wanted to do a lot of federal layoffs, but he wanted to do a lot of layoffs.
Wait, what the fuck she said?
Buenas tardes, happy Black 365. Listen, excuse me, help the skeptics.
Oh, she was speaking Spanish.
So the fat bastard in charge a while ago, bitch, he wanted to do a lot of federal layoffs, but he wanted to do a lot of layoffs. But they halted that. The federal courts halted it and said, no, you got to go through the proper channels. You just can't be laying all niggas off all willy-nilly, bitch. And he was like, no, I don't want to go through all that rigmarole, bitch. I just want to lay them off. So it was halted for a while. But the Supreme Court, we all know, they robo, bitch. And they gonna fight for the fat bastard in charge, bitch. They don't do nothing else. They gonna peg him, change his diaper, eat his butthole, turn his pinks inside out. And they're going to fight for him in the courts. Okay, so the Supreme Court, they cleared the pathway, bitch, so he can resume those mass layoffs in the federal spectrum, bitch. So I think I seen where the VA, bitch, is going to lay off about 30K of you motherfuckers.
Let me check.
Veterans, what y'all gonna do? Cause
Not true. They're gonna shrink by 30,000, but they're gonna do it through attrition, retirements, and hiring freezing. So they're not gonna they're just gonna slow down the hiring process and just let it naturally happen through fiscal year 2025. And then agencies elsewhere, they're gonna face rift fights, but the VA says no, they're not gonna do any of that. So that's false, but I'm gonna keep going.
y'all voted for the fat bastard in charge, bitch. What y'all gonna do? Y'all already don't get the care you deserve, bitch. What y'all gonna do? Myself included, but I ain't vote for him, bitch. And so, not it. Bitch, I can pay nigga knock on somebody else's door, bitch. Not Ryan. Don't ring my doorbell, bitch. My name is Bennett. I ain't in it. It won't me, bitch. So, we'll see. Y'all get up in a few days. I'll watch y'all post, bitch, while y'all here suffering. I'm gonna pay you back in tears. We gon' cry. Come on.
Whew, she got a sexy voice.
Okay, ho, amen.
Hell yeah. Yeah, but yeah, she lying. She lying like a motherfucker. And on top of that, VA benefits has nothing to do with VA employees. That's a whole separate issue.
Everybody shut the fuck up. Hey, shut the fuck up. Let me tell you something right now.
If you made it this far, check out the video we just did with the food stamp recipients. Said that they're going to be stealing out of Walmart if the government shutdown causes a break in benefits in November.